And I rise tonight to speak on this bill and support comments made in this chamber about having a much more sustainable NDIS system whereby the money goes to the people who need it, but it isn't wasted on the people that don't need it. And it's interesting, I've actually read an article yesterday online in the Brisbane Sunday Mail about how the National Disability Insurance System is now being gouged by private equity owners. And let me tell you, the moment you hear the word private equity, you really need to find yourself a very good proctologist, because these people gouge the system, and it doesn't matter whether it's public or private, but I'm sure that the NDIS system wasn't set up so that we could make wealthy billionaires wealthier. And I've always been of the belief, and I've said this in regards to banking and everything like that, is that the best system to have in any country or any particular part of the economy is to have a private sector that encourages efficiency and productivity, etc. But we also have a backstop with the public competition as well. So in the health system, we have public and private hospitals. In the education system, we have public and private schools. I myself am advocating for a public bank, because I believe that since we privatised the Commonwealth Bank, we've seen the private banks gouge the market. We haven't got greater competition. What we've got is greater market concentration. And I think that in the NDIS system, we must have a backstop in the public sector as well that can provide ethical,
Senator
solid—
Rennick, you will be in continuation.
Okay, thank you very much. And I continue my remarks about the importance of making sure that the NDIS remains a sustainable and efficient manner of delivering adequate support to the people who need it. And that's very, very important, because as I was touching on when I first started this speech 2 nights ago, unfortunately private equity has moved into this industry, and there is very little public backstop to ensure that there is ethical competition in the industry. And one of the things that I've learnt in my time, in my life actually, not just in my time as a senator, is that I believe things work best when we have a public-private structure, whereby we have the private practice or industry out there always seeking better efficiency gains, cutting-edge technology, etc., etc. But we actually—
Senator Rennick, hello. I'm just going to ask those leaving the chamber to just please do so quietly. It's difficult for others in the chamber to hear Senator Rennick's remarks, indeed for Senator Rennick to hear me as chair. Senator Rennick.
Acting Deputy Chair. And the public practice, public-private, I think we really need to look at having better government support, public government support within the NDIS system. Because as we've seen in the banking sector, that when the CBA was privatised, we let the private market rip, and 20 years later we ended up with a Royal Commission into misconduct in the financial system. Now, what privatisation has shown us is that you don't get greater competition, you get concentration of market power. And if we look at our hospitals and our schools, I think they are structured the best, so that we have private hospitals and we have public hospitals, and in the school system we have private schools and public schools. And the private schools and the private hospitals are there, so if people want to pay a little bit extra and get a little bit more, or what they think better service, then they can pay extra for that. But given that the NDIS, like banking, like health, like education, is an essential service, we need to make sure that we have a government backstop. And there was a very good article in the weekend's Sunday Mail when it talks about private equity entering the NDIS system. And there is we have got millionaires now moving in. They're looking at achieving a rate of over 10% return. Now, I'm sorry, but when people with disabilities shouldn't be seen as a commodity to be traded. I find that completely and utterly offensive. Now, I get that, farming is a private industry. We get that because it's better off having farms in private hands. But when we are talking about the life and the dignity and worth of every individual, we have to make sure that they get adequate care. And, this is why I really think we need better public systems in the NDIS system, as I've said, to make sure that we don't let the private market rip, because we are dealing with people's lives. We are dealing with people's lives. Now, I accept this is never going to be easy, and it's easy to criticise the current minister, but I'm going to be honest here. When you've got something like almost 500,000 people on NDIS with a range of disabilities, it's not going to be very easy to make a one-size-fits-all type of situation. And that is why I think that I don't want to make too many overreaching generalisations. I know there's times to have a bit of a crack in the chamber, but I don't think when we're dealing with people's suffering and disability that we should be doing that in this particular case. So, look, I will finish this speech, but just conclude that I look forward to the amendments that the Coalition are going to bring. But I also would ask that we all work together to make sure that those people who are most in need, because I cannot imagine, I have 3 beautiful, healthy children, I cannot imagine what it would be like to have a child who needs support, constant care. In fact, one of my old school friends who I talk with quite often, Tony Mitchell and her son Joshy, he has needed a lifetime of support and care. She's a single mum. And she is a true champion, and the struggles that she has gone through, I don't know that I could cope with it. So, Tony, if you're listening, this one's for you. But look, I look forward to hopefully that these bills will help make the life better for people who are disabled. Thank you.
Authorised G. Rennick, LNP Chermside.